rolling.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday, which means another episode of Doing Sport Differently. Really gratefully sponsored and supported by Vic Health. I'm joined today by John Chalmers from the Mordialloc Motor Yacht Club. John, welcome to you.
Hi, Steve. It's great to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We were joking in the I guess the prelude that an accountant talking to an economist should be a riveting conversation.
Quite topical, but let's not go there.
So, the Mordialloc Motor Yacht Club, you started a program not about boats or motor yachts or anything, but stand-up paddle boards. Why did a yacht club introduce a stand-up paddleboard program to its offerings?
Well, I mean, we've got great facilities down there, and it's an amazing location. We're on a beautiful island in Mordialloc Creek on Port Phillip Bay. So there we go. Have a look at that. We've got 90 boats in 90 moorings. It's full. But as you can see, it's traditional. It's traditionally focused on men in their boats. There are a few women who've got boats, but you know, these boats sit there. They're permanent, tied up with big ropes, and that's how the club has been. So I'm on the committee there, and we heard there was a Vic Health grant encouraging women to participate in exercise. So we looked at the idea of a women's supboarding program, and everyone was quite supportive of the concept. So I applied for that grant, and it was successful. So
what was the goal of the program? What were you trying to do by creating this program?
We were trying to broaden the activities of the club. The idea of it just being a club for big boats is traditional, and yacht clubs are fairly traditional. But we felt it was time to broaden the appeal and make use of facilities in a far better way. It seems a bit of a waste, to be honest. And this seemed a way to really give it a jolt, to have a look at what could we do differently. And we talked to the sailing club, which is on the beach in front of us, and they were quite supportive, or very supportive. And we thought this could work. So we've worked together with Sailing Club, and we put on a program.
And I think that's one of the really cool things about coming out of the program of Doing Sport Differently is that you don't have to do it by yourself. There's lots of collaborative opportunities and partnerships that can be formed that can create really great relationships and mutual benefits.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what you found with the sailing, the Sailing Club and the.
Absolutely. I mean, it all sort of grew out of nothing, really. It was a matter of, okay, how do we put this together? So the Sailing Club were really supportive. We borrowed some of their boards to make up the numbers, and of course their beach. And we got in contact with some supboard trainers, and through that, a variety of phone calls, linked up with a lady through Surfing Australia, who's a supboard trainer for women in particular, in fact, only women. And she was very keen to come down, and so we designed a course that would fit the participants that we had. So it all came together very easily and very well. And it was good to have somebody who was a professional trainer, so we could be confident we'd put on a good course. She had the insurance, and she obviously knew what she was doing, and so we were quite confident we could have a safe course for the ladies to learn.
So was this a committee initiative, or did someone like yourself take it to the committee?
No, it was a combination of people in the committee. One of the guys saw this grant opportunity, and so several of us got together and thought, what could we do that would be interesting, different, outside the square, and in particular aimed at ladies, because we thought, well, women are underrepresented in our club.
Yeah,
and yet we have a beautiful location, which the guys probably don't appreciate it as well as the women would. How it's laid out, and the surroundings, etc. So it all made sense.
It is actually, from a sports community perspective, working across lots and lots of sports. There is a real underrepresentation of women in motorsports particularly, and other sports such as sailing, which there's no logical reason for that, other than, from what I can see, tradition, and that's the way that it's always been. But logically, there's no reason for that inequity, if you like, of participation. Is that how you read it?
That's right. Yes, exactly. There is no reason. I mean, it's just tradition that men seem to mess around in boats, but we do have some women who have boats, and why not? I mean, yeah, it's beautiful when you're out there on the water, in any shape or form, on a paddleboard or on a yacht or on a powerboat. Why not? I walk along the beach here in Chelsea and for exercise, and you see so many women on supboards, women of all ages. So why not introduce that? And we had the perfect spot there with the Mordialloc Sailing Club's facilities on the beach, and so we all got together, and here we are.
Yeah, and it's great that you didn't look for a yachting activity, but to introduce this new group, if you like, non-participating women, to introduce the club to them is something that they wanted to do, not that something that you wanted them to do. I think that's really important. But how did you then go about marketing the program to the broader community, and what sort of numbers did you get?
Well, we have an open day each spring when we sort of start the warmer weather activities, and we thought, let's use that. And we had a tent set up on the island when people came across for the open day, and we asked women who came across to have a look at the options we were putting there for exercise during the summer months. So we had supboarding, we had island yoga, we had tri-sailing, and group exercise classes. They were the 4 things we thought might work. And having had the grant made available by Vic Health, we sort of hoped the supboarding would draw a lot of people. And women were very keen, so we had quite a big long list of people, women wanting to do supboarding. And it was interesting. They also, the same women, were keen to do yoga on the island. So yeah, that was a great start.
Well, and I think just asking them, and in this case it's women, but them is your target audience. What are they looking for is a really important step, which helps informs the next steps and the process. So how many did you get when you started the program this year, which then ran into back in COVID,
14, sorry,
how many did you get?
14 women signed up on that first day to do the supboarding, and that changed. Some couldn't make it the days, and extra women came along. One of the tricky things with supboarding is if you're going to do training, you need to get a nice still morning. Yep. And that can be hard sometimes. So we had lots of backup days. And so on the day, yes, we had 2 sessions, a 9 till 10 and 10 to 11. And that was great. The women loved it and they wanted to come back. And we were looking at the weather forecast thinking, oh dear, this is going to be tough for the next few weeks. And we thought, well, to keep the momentum going, what if we actually see if they'd like to be doing the yoga, which most of them had already put their names down for. So there was a resounding yes, please. So we thought, well, let's do that as well. So we had 1 yoga lesson on the Thursday night, 5 till 6 on the island. And that was huge. That was fantastic. Lots of extra women came along to that. But then, of course, that got shut down as COVID hit and the whole club was shut down. So yeah, that was a problem. So then we thought, well, let's see how else we could deliver some exercise programs, and thought, well, what if we just go online with the yoga? So that's what we did, and it was an immediate success.
So for those that are watching, welcome to you. Please, if you just in the comments of whatever platform you're watching on, just say hello or ask a question of John. And yes, it's not a mistake. John from the Mordialloc Motor Yacht Club is talking about yoga. So that's really, really cool. Without generalizing and stereotyping, but let's do that anyway. So yacht clubs, motorsports in general, bit of a boys' club. How did these women's only activities and new groups of women or members or participants coming into the club rooms, How was that received by the long-term members?
It was good. It was great. I mean, most of the guys who come down go to their boats and throw off their lines and take off into the bay. So there's a parallel there, activities. It was no conflict, if you like. They were quite surprised initially when they heard that we were doing yoga, especially the first one on the island. We said, okay, let's set that for 5 o'clock on a Thursday when most of the boats are back. So there's no sort of conflict or anything like that, but there was none. It was very easy, great acceptance. In fact, the partners of a lot of the fellows who have boats there were quite interested, and we have a lot of those women participating. And of course, they've brought friends, etc. And so it has been very, very smooth.
And we've got a question from Bowles Vic, and I was heading down this path as well. Did you get the women signing up as club members, or have you started down that process, or is that the goal, is to transition them into, or create a pathway into other parts of the club activities, such as well, we're talking such as just the sailing side of it?
Not particularly. I mean, the idea is to use the club as a resource. There's Carol coming back from sailing. That's her boat. So she's been out having a bit of a sail in a competition on Thursday afternoons, which she obviously enjoys. No, it's a matter of being a club, not to force people into competitions. We don't feel that's relevant. It's a matter of the club being available for all sorts of activities and broadening its scope, its appeal, and its relevance basically to partners, their friends, and the broader community ultimately. Those who want to be involved in boats will get involved in boats, whether you like it or not. They're a pretty determined lot. But it's those who are on the fringe who we're looking to provide facilities for. If they become active members, etc., that's great. But I mean, lots of clubs have fringe people who are just there and come and go, but they make up a very useful bulk of the club, and not everyone wants to be in the centre. So that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. In most sports clubs, there's actually more volunteers, supporters, and members than there are actual participants in the sport, and the major reason for that is because of the social connection that comes from the groups of like-minded people coming together. A couple more questions, which is fantastic, from Sharon. Was the grant used for purchasing the boards, or did you have boards already?
We've got a couple of boards, and we did look hard at using those funds for purchasing boards. Initially, to test the water in terms of literally, in terms of what boards would be appropriate, we hired boards, we borrowed boards just to see through our trainer what would be the best boards to purchase. So, because the whole thing got shut down, as yet we haven't bought boards. When we get into the summer months, and hopefully, COVID is letting us do some activities, then we'll get more serious with working out exactly which boards are best for women to use.
But I think, Sharon, one of the beautiful things about what the grant allows clubs to do is trial it and fund a little bit of, whether it's the instructor or equipment or whatever it is, and then allow you to see whether it's just one of the really key important parts of the Vic Health program is ensuring that it's sustainable. So allowing that a pilot is really important. And so how will you change it when we're allowed back on the beach and in the programs, etc.? Is there any changes, or you'll incorporate as from the learnings, or will you just go again because it was just a nice simple activity?
We'll go again the first time, I think. We'll obviously run a survey of those who did the first day. That's all we got in before everything changed. But we'll start with that, and we'll talk to the women. We'll talk to the trainer, and we'll move on from there. I mean, there is no sort of set process in any of this. It's a matter of what works, and as participants change, as conditions change, you've just got to be flexible. But the base is that we want to provide an exercise program for women. So hopefully they make it part of their daily or weekly routine to get some exercise. I mean, that's the aim of the whole thing. We could all probably do with a bit more exercise. And the other thing is that through all this talking with trainers, we found a lady who does yoga on SUP boards. And we thought, that's an interesting combination. We've got the yoga, we've got the SUP board training. And so we will probably pursue that in the summer months to see if that's something which has appeal.
Yeah, fantastic. Just flicking over to the yachting side of the club, Vivian Drew. Vivian, welcome to you. Vivian, just for a little bit of background, is the president of Gliding Victoria. So Vivian asks, women are often feel intimidated to continue in niche sports by their financial capabilities to continue sailing, yachting, flying. In her case, has this been an issue for the yacht club historically or traditionally?
That's an interesting question. I think, yes, men tend to prioritize spending on diesel engines and outboards and sails probably more than women would. I guess generally I'd agree with that women would be reluctant to divert funds, especially when they're scarce, to a hobby which is expensive. And that's where the SUP boarding is appealing, because once you've got a board, you really, a paddle, that's all you need. So that was another aspect which we thought was really important. And also the fact that if we have the boards down on our island or at the sailing club on the beach, you don't have to have a trailer or roof racks and you don't have to lift boards up onto your roof racks. So it actually works quite well to have equipment there. And certainly the clubs, the sailing club has equipment, and we'll be buying equipment, so that all you have to do is get there.
Yeah. Yeah. On the other side, I own just a ski boat, which is very much a family, very, very much a family affair. And my wife, she calls it her happy place, being out on the water, just sitting out there. And so when the pre-summer season service bill comes in for a couple of grand, which is always horrifying. Again, because it's something, an activity that she can participate in and loves, and there's no reason that it's not a male sport. And while she may or may not like tinkering with the engines, I certainly don't. The benefit is fantastic, and I think we've got a really good example with the video that you've shown, you've brought on, John, and I'll just bring that in. Is Helen with her boat?
Yes. I mean, that's a classic. That's a Halverson cruiser from the early 1940s, and it's quite a rare beast. And she loves her boat. Obviously, her husband's involved as well, but Helen's very passionate about her boat, and it's a beautiful thing. There it is out at sea. So yes, I mean, I guess it does depend on how passionate you are about what you're doing. But there again, I mean, within our club, the skill base is enormous amongst the people who've been there for a long time, and they help with all sorts of things, and they've all got bits and pieces and spare this, that, and the other, and they'll put hours and days in to help others solve problems and fix things. We have a very good slipway there, etc., etc. So we have all the facilities. As I say, it's an amazing place. So no one's left high and dry. No one's left with a mess. There are always people to help. So we saw Carol before on her yacht, and Carol is obviously, she's provided with assistance by the guys who got the muscle to help when it gets really heavy work. So it all works very well. It's a very, very supportive club. So
And
It's very enjoyable.
another question coming from Nina. Welcome to you, Nina. Did you find many women bringing friends or family members along for support, or maybe just to be social? Was there any promotion around this?
Yes, I was going to say before that when we were talking about, do women get involved with this sort of thing? When it becomes enjoyable in the summer months, when it's nice and warm and you've got the family out there or on the island having barbecues and whatnot, that incentive certainly overrides the fact that it might be a bit of work or expense, as you were saying with your ski boat. So that is something that we certainly promote. Father Christmas, et cetera, and all sorts of things for children and for families to make them feel welcome. So, and provide facilities for them. So, it is a family club, and that does broaden the appeal and that access, if you like, for families.
Fantastic. Vivian, if you're still there, and John, just bear with, I'm going to just do a little bit of indulging just for a moment. Vivian, you sent through a photo for the Sports Community Geo Snapshot photo competition that's open at the moment. My question to you, which is an unbelievably brilliant photo, is I don't understand how the photo can be taken from outside the glider at about 3,000 feet. So I might come back to you separately on that one, but we'll put the link to the photo competition in this post. Nina, if you could do that, that'd be great. Lots of photos, and we'll showcase some of those photos tomorrow. So, John, thank you so much, and I'll just add just a couple of photos of the some of the crew, some of those learning the SUP board, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Bowls Victoria, while you're still there, I'd love to have you on talking about the Mums and Bubs program as well. So we might as well cover off a bit of my admin here at the same time, John. Good accountant will always multitask. So when we no worries. So just in wrapping up today's session, let me just go through, let me just get back on control of my technology. Just looking at the Vic Health doing sport differently and just pulling out the key things that you've shared with us today. Engage with the target audience. Target market's a little bit too business-like for an accountant and an economist, but so you asked the ladies and the women what did they want. You looked at it through their eyes. You catered for the different levels of skills, and the deliverer is the most vital person. And consciously or subconsciously, you went to someone who had all the expertise, all the empathy, all the experience to make it a great experience for those that might be a little bit hesitant. And then that pathway there's potentially an opportunity to build the pathway over time, but looking to make it a sustainable part of your club. And I guess, John, that's what we didn't cover is this, do you see this as now an ongoing part of your club, is providing non-sailing, non-motorboat activities to different groups within your community?
Absolutely. I mean, all sorts of ideas are being thrown up now by people inside the club have realised that there is the opportunity, that the fence has been pulled down. Yes, we're getting all sorts of suggestions, which is fantastic. I mean, one of them is, in fact, an online book club, believe it or not, which is actually proving to be very successful, especially as we're all cooped up in our homes. It's amazing how far and wide that has travelled in terms of people being involved through the book club and the support of the council.
Yeah, I think we'll explore that very much in another session on its own, because I think there's that concept of looking outside the core of what we traditionally offer. Train Tuesday, train Thursday, play Saturday afternoon. That mentality is gone, and your club is doing some wonderful, wonderful initiatives, and which is fantastic. So, John, thanks for sharing this. But before I say final wrap up, just next week, I'm really, really looking forward to, as I have done every Wednesday, really looking forward to a discussion with Stella from the Bush Rangers Basketball Club. So the Bushrangers Basketball Club is the only LGBTIQ basketball club in the country, is my understanding, and it's amazing. It's nothing short of what I can describe it. It operates in about Darwin, Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland. This is one club. I think seven different locations. It is an amazing story, and Stella is an amazing storyteller. So I look forward to next week. But John, you have been sensational this week. Thank you so much for sharing the story of the Mordialloc Motor Yacht Club.
Thanks, Steve. Pleasure.
And as always, thanks for Vic Health, for making the grants available and then giving us the platform to tell the stories of the wonderful club. So until tomorrow, we're going to do a walkthrough. Oh, not a walkthrough. We're going to have a look at some of the amazing photos and amazing stories that have come through the GeoSnap photo competition, which the link to the information is in the comments of this post, and that'll be tomorrow. And then Friday, as normal, eSport Friday. So it's a strange old world with AFL football now on the TV for the next 20 days straight, and other sports all coming back into play. While us in Victoria, John, we get locked down and we have to wear masks. So it's an amazing world. I thank you very much for being part of this live stream. And as always, thank you for being part of our sports community.
Pleasure.
So thank